Of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
One of the very best stops in Major League Baseball is San Diego and Petco Park. All-Star game is coming here, and the Marlins have arrived to finish a long road trip and start a 3-game series against the Padres. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. Welcome to San Diego. For the Marlins, they lost their series in Minnesota. They lost their series in Arizona, arrive in San Diego, and they have yet to take advantage of what many felt was a nice opportunity.
Well, so far it's been a missed opportunity, Rich, but they do have this series to get back on track, win the series, and feel good going home about this road trip.
Getting back on track is the theme for Giancarlo Stanton. So much so that Don Mattingly does not have him in the lineup tonight. And Mattingly said about an hour ago he just doesn't want him to have progress in batting practice and take a step back. So sort of a mental day or a mechanical day, if you will.
Sometimes you need to be consistently in a controlled environment. And what Giancarlo is trying to work on right now, he needs to be in a controlled environment. When he gets in the game, now it's all variables. So you don't want to undo all that good work you did during the day by having him go back into the game before he's ready.
Every major league hitter has offers. You had offers. First step in climbing out of something like that is?
Understanding what you're doing wrong. Understanding what the issue is and understanding that something's not right. And then once you go from there, then it's you get your work in, you do the correct work, and you get back to basics. Hitting the ball the other way, trying to hit the ball in the opposite gap, working from the back of the strike zone to the front. Right now, we're seeing Giancarlo out in front a lot, swinging and missing out. He's got to bring it back. Good hitters get jammed, so he's got to get back to the back.
And the good news, Ichiro is in there, and he's red hot on this road trip. Let's look at the pitchers here tonight. Tonight's starters, Wei-Yin Chen and Colin Ray. What's your recipe for success for Chen tonight?
I think Chen has got to continue to do what he's been doing in his last couple starts, and that's put guys away. When he gets these 1-2, 0-2 counts, don't make himself so hittable. Bury some curveballs in the dirt, expand with the fastball up in his zone, and I think he'll have good success tonight.
Expand with your baseball horizons with us tonight. It's a Monday night. We're in San Diego, fueled by fish tacos and ready to go. It's Miami and San Diego. First pitch from Petco. Right around the corner. Dodge is a presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Marlins and Padres, great to be at Petco Park. Let's join Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, we love coming to San Diego. This is a great city, a beautiful ballpark, and the weather is awesome. But one of the best parts about it, you don't have to worry about taking a team bus or catching a cab to the ballpark because it is literally connected to the hotel. It only takes about 2 minutes to walk over. Here, I'll show you. Follow me. And just like that, here we are. Oh yeah, and the fish tacos, they aren't bad either. Guys.
I like it. The fastest 2 minutes in baseball. That's the Omni Hotel right next to Petco Park. And a little overcast here in San Diego. But the Marlins happy to be here. Wei-Yin Chen faces the Padres. Matt Kemp and San Diego. First pitch is next. Miami Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By your local Toyota dealer. Let's go places. And by Southwest. Transparency. Low fares. Nothing to hide. Petco Park ready to go. Yeah, kids. It's late night with a fish. Colin Ray enters the site of the 2016 All-Star Game. That is coming up about a month away here on Fox in San Diego. Tonight, the Marlins. The Cliffs of La Jolla, it looks like. And the lineup brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
I was kind of enjoying the little jazzy music right there, man. Ichiro's leading off, Martin Prado's second, Christian Yelich is third. Marcelo Ozuna batting cleanup. Justin Bour's in the 5-hole today. JT Realmuto is batting sixth. Derek Dietrich is seventh. Adeiny Echeverria is eighth. And Wei-Yin Chen is batting ninth.
Colin Ray is 25. He's about to become 26 on the first day of July. He's from a very small town in Iowa, Cascade, Iowa, and actually grew up 20 minutes from the setting for Field of Dreams. So how about that? And he finds himself playing with this defense tonight. Brought to you by Southwest. Melvin Upton Jr., John Jay, Matt Kemp. We talked about that outfield on Marlins Live. Yangervis Solarte and Will Myers on the corners. Adam Rosales, Alexi Ramirez up the middle, and Derek Norris, serious guy with a serious beard, behind the plate. And Ichiro leads it off for Miami. Giancarlo Stanton not in the lineup. Ichiro gets a start in right. He's got Martin Prado and Christian Yelich behind him. First pitch, fastball is a strike. Ichiro, a terrific road trip, which has upped his average to 336. He's 8 for 17 in Minnesota and in Arizona. And time called, Ichiro steps out. And for Ichiro, he has 26 hits shy of 3,000. He's 4 from unofficially tying Pete Rose's major league record of 4,256. And he takes down low. There's the road trip numbers for Ichiro. Outfield plays towards left center. This is maybe the most aggressive and progressive defensive shifting team in baseball. Andy Green, the brand new manager here in San Diego, ran the defense in Arizona. He was the third base coach in Arizona, and you can see they're really shifted towards left center. There's a look at Green. They do not expect Ichiro to pull the ball, and that pitch is in. It's ball 3. Ichiro walked yesterday, already has 11 walks on the season.
He's just in such a good place in the batter's box right now. He looks so in control, hitting the ball hard when he swings the bat.
And he walks, sets the bat down on his way. Ichiro is aboard. And that brings up Martin Prado. It also brings up, hey, it's Father's Day week, and so the Home Run Challenge starts tonight. And in this game, we are participating in the Home Run Challenge. Each home run is worth $4,400. You can donate. Go to homerunchallenge.org. Prostate Cancer Research is the charity. It's a great tradition in baseball. That's why we had the blue Major League ribbons on our sport coats, and we'll have them all week. Of course, Ichiro's been active on the bases as well, and he's at first with Prado at the plate. Oh, 0-1. Martin Prado's numbers. A dozen hits on this road trip for Prado. Ichiro, Martin Prado, and Marcell Ozuna probably the best numbers on the trip for Miami. Prado shoots one into right field. That's a hit. Kemp over to get it. Ichiro turns and holds at second. Strong arm throw by Kemp, and Miami has a pair of base runners with nobody out here in the first.
Well, because of their defensive alignment, Ichiro was actually held at second. Kemp was slung so far around to the right field line that this ball is almost at him, and that ball is usually a first or third ball for Ichiro, but the way they were lined up, just got to go station to station right there.
Now Yelich. Christian Yelich against Colin Ray. And a breaking ball for a strike. Four-seam fastball, a sinker. He'll cut it. And he just showed the breaking ball he's got. He does have a changeup as well. Now, it's going to be fun to watch San Diego's defense against these Marlin hitters. We told you they are the most aggressive and progressive in all of baseball. And against Yelich, we've seen teams shift him a little bit, but he's almost unshiftable. As it is, they're a bit towards left center. The big move is Kemp way off the line and right. Yelich swings and misses. The count is 1-1. Look how far Kemp is into right center.
Yelich is so good at hitting the ball where it's pitched that you have to have a pitcher that can throw to that spot that he's trying to be able to shift against Yelich.
Ray misses down low. Jeff Nelson is calling balls and strikes. Not our new pregame and post-game host. That would be Nelly, the great New York Yankee and Seattle Mariner.
Right, not the rapper Nelly, but Jeff Nelson. Nelly.
Right.
Okay.
Great to have him on board. And we look forward to tomorrow night. It's his debut. Yelich swings and misses. And Colin Ray has his first out in the first. Auto Nation brings you the scouting report. What you got, Preston?
Thinking ahead. He's got to get ahead. Added muscles, beefed up a little bit. Gained about 20 pounds. And he's a small town kid. You mentioned where he's from, Cascade, Iowa. Said 20 miles away from Field of Dreams. It's out in the corn, I guess.
It is.
Okay.
If you build it, they will come. Now Ozuna. Sounded like he got it off the end of the bat. John Jay is there, and he makes the catch. And so a promising inning now has not progressed, and it's 2 outs. Ichiro still at second, Prado still at first, and here's Justin Bour.
Good time for a little 2-out lightning right here.
Don Mattingly's got the coat on. It is overcast, a little bit chilly even for San Diego standards.
Yeah, once the sun goes down here, the temperature drops in a hurry.
The marine layer comes in. 67 degrees. Actually a lot warmer in Minneapolis, where the Marlins started this road trip. Bour's big hit on the trip, obviously the grand slam in Arizona. A strike. That was Friday night. Bour tied the ball game. Marlins went on to win it 8-6, but then dropped the next 2, including yesterday, where they were shut out by the Diamondbacks. Robbie Ray and a pair of relievers. This is Colin Ray, and the count is 2-1 to Justin Bour. And it was interesting, Don Mattingly actually yesterday said he felt like the Marlins had a bit of a hangover yesterday from that stunning loss on Saturday, where they had the lead and Jose was cruising. End of the bat, he shoots it to left. Ichiro around third. Upton up with the ball. Throw to the plate, and Ichiro is in there. And Miami is on the board.
Wow.
The shift of the Padres had Bour to pull, and Justin crossed him up.
B.J. Upton, this is just one of those throws that you don't quite get right, because with B.J.'s arm, he should have thrown Ichiro out right here, but he spiked it in the dirt. Marlins able to get this run, but Upton's been throwing a lot better than that from the outfield this year. That's just one that got away from him. He absolutely threw a lawn dart just there.
So an RBI single for Bour. Prado still at second, and here's Real Muto. So sometimes the shift works, sometimes not so much.
Well, it's all dependent on the pitcher hitting his spots, because if the pitcher doesn't hit his spots, now you're pitching away from the defense.
Real Muto homered in Arizona. He's got 6 hits on the trip. And a breaking ball from Ray is up.
It's a good sign, 2-out RBI for the Marlins. Hit with men in scoring position.
It's called strike. It's 1-1. Real Muto opens just a point under 300. On base at 329, is slugging at 407. One and two.
Ray has shown a good curveball. He's shown a really good changeup. He threw a couple good ones to Yelich.
Came back, got the corner. And Ray strikes out Real Muto. But Miami is on the board. Ichiro comes home on a Justin Bour single.
Well, here come the Padres. John Jay, Will Myers, Matt Kemp are the top three. Yanguevis Solarte is batting fourth, playing third base. Derek Norris is batting fifth. Alexi Ramirez batting sixth. Melvin Upton Jr. seventh. Adam Rosales eighth. Colin Ray batting ninth.
And Wei-Yin Chen makes his 13th start of the season. Marlins lefty looking for win number 4. On Wednesday, he faced Minnesota, and the long ball hurt him. Joe Mauer, Trevor Plouffe, Byung-Ho Park all had homers for the Twins. Chen was able to get a no decision. Familiar face here, certainly University of Miami's John Jay, a Miami native, 6 years a Cardinal, and a mainstay in that Cardinal outfield. Traded to the Padres for Jed Jerko.
Well, they just pretty much ran out of room for him in St. Louis. They had those two young guys, Piscotty and Grichuk, that were ready to play there. So he was a piece that they could move because they were going to keep Holiday. But he's got an opportunity here, and he's doing well.
John Jay lines it into the seats and foul. Tell you what, in his 6 years, think of the things he was able to accomplish. Won a world championship in 2011, National League championship 2013. He played in 5 postseasons, 57 postseason games. And Jay fouls it back. Always had a very fluid swing.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to it, but when he's on, it's very productive. He gets a lot of base hits. He's on base a lot.
Out to short, Echeverria. On to first in time. And there's an out here in the first. Southwest brings you Miami's defense. Tonight, it's Yelich, Ozuna, and Ichiro in the outfield. Martin Prado, Justin Bour on the corners. Danny Echeverria, Derek Dietrich up the middle. And JT Realmuto behind the plate. Lately, the Padres offense has been pretty good. There are 3 or 4 guys in this lineup who have started to hit, and one of them is Will Myers. Chen gets a strike. Myers, of course, started as a top prospect for the Royals, coveted by the Rays, and now a Padre. This month, .395 average, 4 doubles, 6 homers, has driven in 15, has scored 13. So he's off to a great start in June. You can see the home runs in the last 10 days.
I think this city fits Will Myers. He's a laid-back guy, easygoing guy, and this city is that it is that. It's laid back, it's easygoing, and I think he's found a home here because it suits him.
Myers, one of the rare hitters. You just saw Justin Bour, another that does not wear batting gloves. Myers to right center. That's well hit. Ichiro back at the wall. Gone. And the hottest hitter the Padres have stays hot tonight. And the long ball bites Wei-Yin Chen again.
Yeah, this is on the 1-2 count. He went up with the fastball, and this is the 2-2 pitch. And that fastball is just right there to be hit. If you're a power hitter, that's where you want it. Up and out over the plate. It's fence high. All you got to do is hit it.
Number 14 for Myers, and here's Kemp. And of course, this is our very first game of the Home Run Challenge. So $4,400 raised to fund prostate cancer research. Kemp in the gap, left center field. And it bounces over the wall. A double for Kemp.
Well, Rich, you said this Padres offense has been swinging the bats well. They're continuing tonight. Home run followed up by a ground rule double.
During June, the Padres pushing 290 right now. Only the Nationals are better. And Gervas Solarte, switch hitting third baseman for the Padres. And they've gotten plenty of pop out of him in his limited time. He's been on the disabled list somewhat. Takes a strike. Solarte got off the DL near the end of May. .371 feet, the home run for Myers. And Solarte swings and misses. Solarte, a guy that was in the Yankees organization. He spent 8 years in the minors. And he got over to the San Diego ball club in the Chase Headley trade. And he chases a high fastball and goes down swinging.
Nice job there of expanding.
Here is Derek Norris. By the way, just to illustrate that for Will Myers, this is a nice place to play, and he's having a good year. 14 home runs is a career high.
Very upright posture. Doesn't really rotate a whole lot on that back foot, but a lot of torque in there.
Look how the back foot folds down.
That's really unusual. Usually you see a rotation on that back toe, but not so much there.
He kept it sideways and it folded down.
Made my ankle hurt just looking at it.
All right, who has a better beard? Was it Danny Espinosa, his publicity shot for the Nationals, or Derek Norris, catcher of the Padres?
I think when Norris is catching and Cashner's pitching, it's got to be a bad day for everybody else's beard. You just don't even want to show up to the ballpark when those two guys are out there.
That's more lawn gnome than Espinosa.
That's Grizzly Adams right there.
Espinosa was more Game of Thrones. That's more lawn gnome.
Hobbitses, Rich.
Now that, I mean, looking at it that way, that sideways look.
Look, there's Cashner. Please turn around, Cashner. Let me see it.
That is almost ZZ Top-like right there. Yeah, touche. Well done. Chen comes in and misses. And they count 2 balls and 2 strikes. There he is. The catcher's got it under control, it looks like. Somewhat compared to Norris.
Yeah, Norris is just... There's no product in there. He just woke up like that, Rich.
That's strike 3 called. So Chen gets a strikeout, but gives up another home run. And the Padres have tied it. An inning in, it's 1-1. Padres here in San Diego, first of 3. Fireworks on Friday at Marlins Park. The Rockies are in. And of course, the burger and beer package is available for $25. First 5,000 kids get a Marlins wiffle bat and ball sets. Marlins.com for tickets. Of course, post-game fireworks. Marlins Park Friday as the Rockies open up a 4-game series and the homestand. That's a Friday through Monday series. This would be a Monday through Wednesday series in San Diego. Dietrich, Echeverria, and Chen as the second inning begins against Colin Ray. Marlins got a run in the first, a walk by Ichiro, a single by Martin Prado. And after 2 were out, Justin Bour crossed up the shift and bounced one into left field to drive home Ichiro. Derek Dietrich's average has nudged down below 300, but still is on base at 376 and his slugging percentage at 451. That is down low, and as point of reference, the average across the board for the National League batting average is 250. On base is 319 and slugging is 405. Rosales is out in shallow right and gets Dietrich. So if you're hitting 270 to 280, you're 20 to 30 points above average. If you're on base is 330 to 340, you're 20 to 30 points above average. If your slugging percentage is 420, 425, you're above the National League average. Danny Echeverria. Etch has seen Miguel Rojas get some starts of late. Finds himself back down in that familiar 8 spot. Ray goes up to get it and gets the out. The 2 ground ball outs open up Miami's second.
Always help yourself by fielding your position if you're a pitcher. Colin Ray does a good job right here, spearing that out of the air. Easy toss to first base. Gives himself an out.
Chen taking his time. He doesn't have his batting gloves on yet. A couple quick outs, and here comes Chen. Still looking for his first major league hit. 0 for 28 in his career, and he is hitting right-handed. He's switched over.
This might be the night, Rich.
He switched over, and he actually swung the bat pretty well from this side of the plate in his last start. Pitch misses away. Jose Fernandez today informing everybody in the media that he too wants to be in if the pitchers are allowed to hit in the home run hitting contest. Jose not as accomplished as a Madison Bumgarner, but feels that in his young career he's got a couple of home runs. Jake Arrieta, who else was it? Adam Wainwright threw his hat in the ring.
Enough already. Enough.
See, I like Joe Maddon's idea when they asked him if having Arrieta would bother him, and he said, not if it's one of those all-out gorilla type home run hitting contests. If it's just one round and let the pitchers take 10 swings each, he would be in for that. Pitch is out. Yeah, he's 3-2 now.
This could be the night. This could be the night that Chen gets himself a base hit.
Well, not on that 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Colin Ray, a 1-2-3 seconds. 1-1 in San Diego. Tim Lincecum will join the Angels rotation this weekend. The cap and the hair just don't look right on Lincecum. Matt Moore beat the Astros. Rays are hot. They've won 7 of their last 10. And Jason Worth is perking up. He was 198. He started his run against the Marlins. And the Nationals have won tonight. They beat Chicago by a score of 4-1. And Max Scherzer was dealing in that ball game. Here in San Diego, Wei Chen gave up a first-inning homer to Will Myers. He gets Alexei Ramirez, Melvin Upton Jr., and Adam Rosales. Ramirez, a long-time Chicago White Sox.
One of my old workout buddies from South Florida.
That's right. Makes his home in Miami. Ozuna back and now over. And in the gap, he makes the catch. And that brings up Upton. Well, it was a winter of change, certainly for the Padres. Remember, at the start of 2015, Padres added both Uptons, Will Myers, Matt Kemp, James Shields, Craig Kimbrell. Their payroll was well over $100 million. And little by little, those pieces were discarded, many of them. Myers remains. One of the Uptons remains. And it's Melvin Upton Jr. And he really struggled the last 2-3 years as a Brave, even here last year. But he has started to come out of it and look a little more like the player that the Tampa Bay Rays had. That's a fair ball. Into the corner. Yelich plays the carom. And the rebirth of Melvin Upton Jr. continues.
I would
His
say
7th double.
This definitely looks like the old Tampa Bay Ray, B.J. Upton. That short, quick swing, even though he's a slider-built guy, a lot of power in that bat. That's just good balance, good bat path, and he can always run, Rich. Long, easy strides.
So Chen has given up 3 hits, and they've all been loud. The Myers homer to right center, the Kemp double to left center, and Upton's double down the line. Here is Rosales. And time called. Padres gave up a lot of young talent to get last year's cast and tried to get some of that talent back in the offseason. Rosales, the 33-year-old, longtime utility infielder, parts of 9 years in the big leagues. Of course, last year when the pieces didn't quite fit for San Diego, they let go of their longtime manager Bud Black, very popular and successful here, even though he never at times did not have a great roster. He was here for 8.5 years. Pat Murphy actually was the interim manager last season, former college head coach at both Arizona State and Notre Dame. So Andy Green, who did not have a lot of experience in the major leagues as a coach, managed for 4 years in the minors and 1 year as the third base coach for Arizona last year. Padres wanted to go out of the box, so to speak, with a young, bright mind, and they felt Andy Green was the guy to get him there. Now his bench coach is Mark McGwire. Pitch in. McGwire, of course, hitting coach in St. Louis, and then most recently in Los Angeles on Don Mattingly's staff. Think about the two hitting coaches that Mattingly has had. Right?
Yeah.
McGwire and Bonds.
Pretty good.
And a strike three called. Chen strikes out Rosales. And that brings up the pitcher, Colin Ray.
It's good to see Chen come back and get this out. He'd been getting ahead of guys, but just not being able to put them away. Got Rosales looking at the fastball there.
Colin Ray now. Upton still at second. Of course, the Marlins saw Justin Upton right out of the gate with the Detroit Tigers. Tigers and Marlins open the season at Marlins Park. And the Marlins are headed to Detroit in the end of this month. Next road trip. Next trip for the Marlins, 2 games in Detroit, 3 in Atlanta, 1 at Fort Bragg on that Sunday night, and then New York City on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July. Yeah, it was funny that I heard a fan down near batting practice. You know how they have fans on the warning track, and he turned to the guy next to him and says, "I can't believe I'm looking at Don Mattingly, Barry Bonds, and Mark McGwire." And all 3 of them were there talking around the cage. Count 1-2. Pitch is in. You know, we were talking about the weather here. You do get a marine layer, but what I'm seeing above the ballpark actually looks like some clouds.
Yeah, there's some dark stuff rolling in up there.
That might have some moisture in them. 2-2. That's strike 3. Padres strand that double. On to the third. Ichiro leads it off. It's 1-1. Marlins Live is tomorrow. It's brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. Jeff Nelson joins the team. He'll be in studio with Craig Minervini. Justin Moore and Mike Dunn are on deck, the flight deck. Tom Kohler gets the ball and takes on San Diego. You know, you've got a pair of Ichiros there. And they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And if you want a throwback Ichiro to his Oryx Blue Wave days, he's there as well. Those guys are all decked out. And Ichiro takes a fastball. Now, I know, Preston, when you played, you had guys in the stands imitating your swing.
Yeah, but they weren't all geared up like this. I mean, this guy's got on the elbow pad and everything.
He's got the same sideburns, too.
Yeah. It's borderline creepy.
Look, I think this is the same guy. Last year, he was actually signing autographs for kids who thought he was Ichiro. Ichiro to left field, a base hit. How about that? 25 away. Now, the numbers that they've got up are the hits towards the Pete Rose total. They're going Pete Rose total. How about that? 25 away for Ichiro.
Okay, his buddy's killing me now. He just took off the elbow pad at the same time Ichiro took off his elbow pad.
Apparently he's got a sponsor.
I mean, that's a show all in itself, Rich. Somebody's going to pay for that.
All right, Ichiro on for the second time. He walked and scored in the first. And one thing Don Mattingly said today about Ichiro was, don't. Yeah, they need to get their numbers. It's 4-2-5-3. Don Mattingly said, look, we need to stop talking about his age because he's not 42. He doesn't play like he's 42, and we're not treating him like he's 42. The way he's playing right now, the way he's running right now. So he's 3 away from Pete Rose, and that's if you combine his hits in Japan and his hits in Major League Baseball. And again, Ichiro is not a guy that is championing that mark. It's not something he's targeted, not something he said is you know, at the top of his list. He said if fans enjoy it, if others talk about it, he's okay with that.
It's a fun story.
It is a fun story. Although, you know what? I think if Ichiro got to start his career in the major leagues, I think he would be past Rose at this point. Because remember, in Japan, his first 9 years in Japan, they play only 100. This guy's creeping me out.
I told you. Watch. Dude, he gets the same lead. Watch this. Dude, I'm telling you, this is beyond a little creepy right here. Like, this is... He's got him down, dude.
I'd like to see Ichiro run here just to see if this guy sprints up the row.
Now, if that dude would dove back on the concrete up there by the seats, then I might have left the booth for an inning, Rich. I would not be prepared for that.
Anyways, first 9 years in Japan, they only play 142, 144 games. And obviously, Rose came in right when the schedule had changed to 162. Prado muscles up, left field deep, Upton back, at the wall, gone. A 2-run shot. Touch them all each. Martin Prado with a 2-run homer. And Miami has a 3-1 lead. Just a breaking ball, and he absolutely crushed it.
Well, Martin Prado and Ichiro have been a problem for Colin Ray so far, and you said it right, Rich. That's a hang 'em, bang 'em, breaking ball right there, and it ends up in the seats. Martin Prado always has that nice, short, compact swing, and he hits that one right on the nose.
Here now is Yelich. Yelich right back into center field. That one almost undressed Ray. There's a line drive single.
Hey, there's Mom.
Mom's here.
Yeah, that feels good. It's a little chuck and duck action right there for Colin Ray.
Marcell Ozuna now. .378 is the estimated distance on the Prado home run. What does the Ichiro imitator do when Ichiro's in the dugout?
I don't know. I'm actually afraid to find out because he's got his routine so down. I don't know. It's actually impressive that he has every micro movement down to the finest point, finer details. So it's like Ichiro sitting with young Ichiro right there.
It is. There's 2 generations of Ichiros. Although the Ichiro on the left has a little bit of mustache going. Maybe that's what Ichiro looked like 20 years ago.
Maybe.
22 years ago when he was tearing up over in Japan for the Blue Wave. But Yelich had an imitator last year, right?
Yes, he did.
But it was Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson of Saturday Night Live surprised Yelich, was dressed as Yelich, came on for batting practice in New York. They still chat on Twitter in a variety of ways. And it sounds like Pete Davidson's coming back out in July when the Marlins are in New York to face the Mets. Ozuna swings and misses. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Pete Davidson's going to have a break from his SNL schedule. They're on their summer break, so he'll be able to come out and hang out with the ball club a little bit. It was really, really weird to see how closely those guys resemble each other, though.
Until you saw Pete Davidson put a glove on and swing a bat.
Or any baseball action. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, good changeup.
Was it held? Ozuna felt it was in the dirt. The home plate umpire, Jeff Nelson, said it was caught.
Oh, who knows? That's a close one. Nope, he got it. Looked like he got it clean.
Yeah.
Nice job by Norris getting that.
Okay, now let's get into the shift again here with Bohr. His first at bat, the Padres shifted. Solarte, the third baseman, is now over on the first base side. You see where Ramirez, the shortstop, is. He was not there the first time because the Marlins had runners at first and second. Remember, Bohr sent a ground ball into left field, and that scored Ichiro. The problem was the Padres attacked Bohr on the outside part with a fastball. This was the pitch. Watch where they've got the target and watch where the pitch is. And we've seen Bohr do that a lot.
That's just pitching away from your defense.
Right now, that whole left side is wide, wide open. Yelich at first. And there he goes down the line. Yelich around second, on his way to third, and he's in there.
Yelich nonstop, realizing that Alexi Ramirez is on the move. That's going to be a tough play, even if Melvin Upton Jr. can make this throw, because you got Alexi Ramirez moving. Look how far Ramirez has to go. All the infielders are in your screen right now. That means nobody's over on that third base side. So even if Upton gets to this ball very quickly, as he did, you still got Ramirez trying to cover third on the run, and Yelich did the right thing, not stopping, forcing him to make that very difficult play.
Where's the target? Up and out. He hit the spot, and so did Bohr.
Yeah, I don't know if that was supposed to be a ball, but you got to make it a little bit more off the plate or more up than that in that 0-2 count. You can't give up a 0-2 hit on that pitch, especially with the way your defense is shifted around.
Now Real Muto can really make it hurt if he can drive home the run. Real Muto struck out back in the first. Pulls a ground ball. Solarte goes to center. It's dropped. It's dropped. And the Marlins will get that run. Now the question is, was it a transfer or was it just flat out dropped? And is everybody safe?
Oh, it never got in there. He never looked it in. He took his eye off it before it got there. Kids, always say follow the ball all the way into your glove. That's a big leaguer that took his eye off the ball, did not quite look it all the way in, cost his team a run, got himself an error, and now there's still trouble on the bases.
Here's Dietrich now. Pitch in the dirt.
Watch his eyes come off it right there. See him start to peek up? Got to look it all the way in.
So infield errors, the Padres are tied for second most in all of baseball. It's odd to see St. Louis's name on that list. Dietrich into center field, off the umpire, and it dribbles into right center field. Bohr around third, and he'll score easily.
I think they're going to send him back, though. Yeah, they're calling dead ball because the ball hit the umpire. Get out of the way, man.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Just cost the Marlins
that's
a run.
Unbelievable
cost Dietrich
bad
an
luck.
RBI.
Dietrich is going to lose an RBI. The Marlins are going to lose a run. I mean, there's no appeal, and there's no way around it. So it's going to be a base hit, but it will cost the Marlins a run and Dietrich an RBI. And here's Echeverria. So 4-1. A strike. And this at bat is enormous for Echeverria because the pitcher's on deck. And of course, Chen is 0 for his life.
Got to try to stay off that sinker here. Marlins got very fortunate. JT Realmuto beat one of those in the ground and didn't have to pay for it. So you got to really make sure you try to stay off that sinker because he's going to try to do it, try to get himself a double play ball.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. 2-1 to Adeiny Echeverria. Miami has scored 3 times here in the third. Etch to center. It's deep. Jay back. Not going to get it. It's over his head and off the wall. Bohr will score. Right behind him, Realmuto. Dietrich headed in. He scores. It's a triple. A bases loaded triple for Adeiny Echeverria. And the Marlins crack it open to 7-1.
Watch John Jay here. I think he gets fooled on this ball a little bit. Doesn't realize Etch hits it as hard as he does. He has a freeze on it. And then next thing you know, the ball is by him. And that's going to clear the bases. Watch him just freeze right there. Just that little bit cost him a step or two. I don't know if he would have caught the ball, but it would have made it a closer play.
If Chen could bunt, this isn't a bad place for a squeeze. Although, as you pointed out, he's due.
Yes, he is.
"25 pitches into this inning. Colin Ray has seen the Marlins score 6 times. Chen, a little tapper. And it will be Ichiro now, who led off the inning with a hit. His second AB here in the third. So 25 now to 3,000. 3 to Rose's mark. And on this road trip, he's gone 9 for 18. Fastball, a strike. The attention, the scrutiny, the coverage has all increased here in the last 2 weeks. NHK in Japan taking all of these games.
Oh, Prado, watch out.
0-2. Everybody's okay, but this is a little scary.
Yeah, that's and you're so close to balls by you before you even move anyway. It just scares you quite badly.
Check swing, no swing. Doug Eddings.
Get a look at the check swing there.
Did he check his swing up there?
Yeah, I think he did. The ump said he didn't go either.
They appealed to the beer vendor, who said no swing.
I just hope this stops at the ballpark. That's all. I hope this stops at the ballpark.
You don't think he sleeps in that stuff?
You know what, Rich? I'm pretty sure he does. I'm pretty sure he does.
You know, the other thing that just in watching Ichiro compared to last year, he's walking more this year. He's a little more selective this year.
This is a riot.
Slow ground ball up the middle, and Ichiro's got another hit. Miami's got the run. Echeverria scores. 24 to go. They've got to work on those numbers. It's 4-2, 5-4. All right, get it straight. 2 for 2 is Ichiro tonight. Now this is vintage Ichiro.
Yes, he's
Slap
2 for 2
and
this
dash.
inning. 2 for 2 this inning.
Slow ground ball up the middle, and Ichiro's got another hit. Miami's got the run. Korea scores. 24 to go. No way does he tip the cap to everybody. That's an RBI single for Ichiro.
He is with him all the way, Rich. All the way. His commitment is really deep right now. It really is.
Prado takes in. Prado's homered this inning and is 2 for 2 tonight, and continues to be, by average, the best hitter on the road in baseball. He was .410 going in, and he's 2 for 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Hand is up in the Padres bullpen. He has pitched very well for the Padres this year out of their bullpen. Wei-Yin Chen certainly happy that the Marlins have put 7 on the board. He's right in the middle in terms of rotation run support. And we'll see if this long wait has had anything of an effect on him. And obviously Ray's pitch count can't sustain this much longer. He's in the 3rd inning. This is the 11th man to hit, and this is pitch number 36.
Well, and he has still yet to solve Ichiro or Martin Prado tonight. Both of those guys have reached base successfully all 3 times.
Big crooked number hangs up there in the 3rd inning. And Andy Green is on his way out, and that'll do it for Colin Ray. Brad Hand's going to come in to face his old team. And already in the 3rd with an 8-1 lead for the Marlins. Here's a Wes Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. San Diego. Brad Hand, longtime Marlin, has found a home in San Diego and flourished in the bullpen role. See, the strikeout to walk ratio is very good. Opponent average is low. And for the lefty out of Chaska, Minnesota, good to see that he's found some success. Padres picked him up off waivers on April 8th. Christian Yelich will face Hand. Marlins have Ichiro at second, Prado at first. A big inning, 7 runs. Highlighted by Martin Prado's 2-run homer and Adeiny Echeverria's bases loaded triple. Breaking ball. This is outside. Yelich singled this inning. Seven hits, a key error, the Rosales drop at second. Yelich pops that one into the seats. I don't know that the Padres turned 2 on that ball because Real Muto runs well and the ball wasn't sharply hit. But you never know.
Yeah, but they got to at least get 1 out on that play. Chopper to third. They could get the lead runner. Just a lack of execution, a lack of focus.
Most strikeouts in relief. Kyle Barraclough and Brad Hand. David Phelps on that list as well. Yelich trying to avoid adding to that total. Breaking ball, little dribbler up the middle. Rosales has it and gets the out. And a big inning for Miami comes to an end. 12 men come to the plate. 7 of them score. Martin Prado, 2-run homer. Tonight, Ichiro is 2 shy of Pete Rose's total, and Jessica is down there near the Ichi imitators. Jess.
Yes, that's right. Look who I have found now. He doesn't speak a lot of English, so we do have a translator very similar to the real Ichiro. So my first question for you, when did you begin impersonating Ichiro?
イチローのいつイチローの真似するの？イチローのモノマネはですね、僕は11歳からやってます。
He started from when he was 11 years old. 11 years old. Wow. I was going to say, you look like you've had a lot of practice because you are very good. How long did it take you to perfect matching Ichiro's actions perfectly?
いつイチローのアクションパーフェクトに真似できるようになったのって。僕はですね、大体5 years ぐらいかかったので、そんな中でですね、やっぱりイチローがやっぱ好きっていうところをですね、僕はやっぱりイメージしてやってきました。はい。It took him like 5 years, but he really loves Ichiro, so it was really easy for him to like predict Ichiro.
Now we saw you here when we were here last year. You were signing autographs for people. Have you ever fooled people into thinking that you really are Ichiro?
なんか人にイチローだと思われたくないみたいな。日本ではよく友達を中心にですね、似てると言われましたし、本当に僕自身がね野球やってましたので、そういう意味で本当にイチローに好かれてる、イチロー好きということです。はい。
His friends really said like he's look like Ichiro, and he really likes Ichiro too, and he's been playing baseball too, so he like really like tried to be Ichiro like for a long time. What does it mean to you to be here tonight, knowing that Ichiro is not only chasing 3,000 hits for his career here in the United States, but also chasing Pete Rose for total professional hits, and to see him already get a couple of hits tonight?
イチローが今日イチローを追いかけてきてみてなんかなんて言えばいいんだろう、なんて言えばいいんだろうな、難しいです。そうですね、イチローをですね、オリックスのジャパンの時から応援してますので、今日は必ずピートローズの4256安打確実に達成すると思います。
He's been Ichiro's fan since he was playing in Japan in Orioles, the team Orioles, and he's really looking forward to like his hits gonna be like 4 to 5. Yeah. Have you ever met Ichiro?
Actually, yeah, Japanese restaurant in America, but
he saw him once in our Japanese restaurant, the yakiniku place. Oh, nice! You got to meet him in a restaurant. What was that interaction?
Maybe secret. Yeah. He chose that. Maybe angry. So yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Ichiro-san. Sorry.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us, guys. Back to you.
He's got a sense of humor, this guy, doesn't he?
I guarantee you, he ordered the same thing when he went to the restaurant with Ichiro.
He's got a sense of humor. That was an outstanding play by Derek Dietrich, going to his left and throwing on the run. Here's Matt Kemp, and he fouls it back to the screen. Wei-Yin Chen now with an 8-1 lead. Here's the play off the bat of Will Myers.
Ranging the quick throw, on target, off balance. Well done, Derek Dietrich.
Kemp doubled back in the first. Longtime Dodger. Second year Padre. Kemp to left. Deep and gone. He's doubled and he's homered, and another solo homer given up by Wei-Yin Chen. That's his 5th homer allowed in his last 8 innings.
This thing came out of here like a 2-iron. It was low flight, low trajectory, but gone in a hurry. Number 15 on the year for Matt Kemp. We said the power's there. I got to think there's going to be some suitors looking for Matt Kemp sometime around All-Star break or after.
Oh, the Padres might say they're down with that, because if those suitors have a big checkbook, San Diego certainly would say you can have him, because the salary through 19 is $21.5 million a year. Not that they wouldn't get something for him, but I think a team that's willing to take on as much of that payroll as possible has the best chance to get him.
Well, I think there's a contending team. You got a guy who's got 15 home runs in this ballpark. I mean, the ball is carrying better now, but it's still this ballpark. That's a fine.
8-2 Miami. Oh, what a great summer that was. The hit streak of Luis Castillo in an All-Star Saturday. This Saturday at 4:10, Rockies and Marlins, and the first 5,000 fans get a Luis Castillo bobblehead. All-you-can-eat seats as well. 4:10 start. Rockies and Marlins. Marcell Ozuna, Justin Bour, and JT Realmuto against Brad Hand. And Hand fires a strike. Ozuna has flied out and struck out. Couple hits for Justin Bour. Realmuto has an RBI. Some major damage by the Marlins in the third.
Good work by Hand getting ahead. First with the fastball, then with the breaking ball inside. When you're coming out of the pen, that's what you got to do. Throw strikes. Get the hitter on the defensive.
He went and he couldn't hold it. And Brad Hand has a strikeout here in the fourth inning.
Ozuna gets that bat hit out there. Can't quite hold it up. Good pitch by Brad Hand. Throwing that breaking ball that starts out as a strike, ends out as a ball. And as a hitter, you're trying to protect.
All right, let's see where the target is now for Bour. And Alexei Ramirez is at a more traditional shortstop spot. Breaking ball, a strike. If you're just joining us, twice the Padres have shifted. A much more dramatic shift for Ramirez, the shortstop. And twice Bour has hit balls into left field. Once down the line and once right over where Ramirez is playing now. And Hand with some breaking balls. A little different look now with the lefty for Hand.
Well, Hand has come in and just thrown strike after strike.
Another slider and it misses out. Bour drove in a run in the first and was part of that hit parade in the third. Not a full schedule in baseball tonight. Teams from the National League East, the Phillies shut out Toronto in Toronto 7-0. Jared Eichhoff getting the win. The Nationals beat the Cubs 4-1. Mets are not in action tonight. Good news, Terry Collins released and is scheduled to manage tomorrow. That's strike 3 called. Brad Hand has come in and struck out a couple.
See that number 5? It's right there, right in the strike zone.
Ford brings you Twitter Tuesday tomorrow night, late night with the Fish, 9:30 start for Marlins Live. We'll be doing late night tweets, late night emails. They always seem to have a little more of a risque bend to them.
Guys have already, people let their hair down a little bit.
It's late night.
Yeah.
All the kids have gone to sleep, except you kids. Real Muto knocked in a run on his bouncer to Solarte. That was the ball that Rosales dropped. Trying to turn a double play. Everybody was safe. Dietrich followed with a hit that was ticketed for center and looked like an RBI single, but it hit the umpire and rolled into center, meaning it was a dead ball and nobody scored. And at that point, it almost felt like the Marlins were not going to get that run back until Adeiny Echeverria launched one over the head of John Jay and scored everybody, knocked home 3.
As an outfielder, the hardest ball to judge is a line drive right at you, and John Jay froze, and the ball beat him. Cleared the bases. Adeiny ended up at third with a triple.
Real Muto swings and misses, and Brad Hand strikes out the side in the 4th. Baseball, Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And by your South Florida BMW centers.
Hey, Rich, you know what that sound means. Oh, yeah.
Late night with the Fish. Preston Wilson, you haven't had many late night with the Fish, have you?
No, but I'm feeling in a jazzy kind of mood, Jack.
This is our Late Night with the Fish theme song. We've had it for many years, and this is always a great place for Late Night with the Fish in San Diego. Derek Norris and his magic beard stand-in. Alexei Ramirez is up next, and then Melvin Upton Jr. Bottom four, 8-2 Miami. If you're just happening by, the Padres have homered twice. But the Marlins put 7 runs up in the third. A 2-run homer by Martin Prado and a 3-run triple by Adeiny Echeverria. Ichiro has it. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, Wei and Chen on the mound tonight. Chen has some very interesting numbers when it comes to situational pitching. If you take a look at them, you can see that he's given up 14 home runs so far this season, but 11 of those have been solo shots, including the ones tonight to Will Myers and Matt Kemp. Look at opponents' batting averages, in particular when runners are on or runners are in scoring position. He's holding opponents to a batting average of 178 with runners in scoring position. So Wei and Chen has a propensity to put runners on, but he's limiting the damage when he does that.
Well, and certainly it helps now, Preston. You can pitch to the scoreboard somewhat. And if he gives up another solo homer, so what?
Well, that's old school pitching. You force the team to swing the bat to get on base. Then when they get on, you get tougher.
Padre box score, you see the 2 homers near the top. Will Myers hit his in the first. Kemp, after doubling in the first, soloed in the third. And Chen misses out. Three and 1 to Alexei. Dietrich behind Bohr, and it's Dietrich who calls him off. Not only makes the catch, but holds on to it. Remember yesterday in Arizona, the transfer play. Dietrich got bailed out by a review.
Yeah, well, he's going to stay with this one all the way through.
Yes, he is.
Not in a hurry to try to throw it.
Melvin Upton Jr. doubled in the second. Do you think we could arrange a meeting between the Ichiro imitator and Ichiro himself? I mean, he did say that they had met before. To right, and the real Ichiro makes the catch, cradles the ball. 4 innings in, 2 more hits for Ichiro, and an 8-2 Marlins lead. There they are. is the presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Great history here in San Diego. Tony Gwynn, of course, the late Tony Gwynn. Steve Garvey, the Padre, especially big in the postseason. Derek Dietrich lines one to left, over the head, and off the wall. And Dietrich's got himself a double. Melvin Upton Jr. went back. His first step looked like he thought he could catch it, but his second step was somewhat resigned to play it off the wall. So Derek Dietrich leads off the 5th inning with his 12th double, his second hit of the night off of Brad Hand. And here is Echeverria. First at bat against Hand for Echeverria. The bases loaded, triple back in the 3rd. And Hand with a breaking ball for a strike. For Brad Hand, a Marlin high school draft, Chaska, Minnesota. Terrific all-around athlete up there. Very good hockey player. And Hand really the victim of injuries and a thin pitching rotation. And he was kind of thrust up to the big leagues maybe before he was ready. And it really accelerated his clock to the point of Marlins with Hand ran out of options and had to keep him in the big leagues or else expose him to waivers. And finally this year the Marlins. Echeverria, that one is slugged to left, off the wall. Echeverria around first, on his way to second, and he arrives with a double. Well, so back-to-back doubles, Dietrich and Echeverria.
Big night for Etch so far. Had that bases clearing triple. I watch this ball. He absolutely goes down and gets this thing. Boom, down and in, maybe a little off the plate, keeps it fair.
I'm not sure what Etch was looking at, though. I mean, that ball wasn't going out.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Rich. I'll just leave it at that.
Enough said.
Yes.
Chen trying to bunt, nearly injures himself. That one pops up and gets him. 9-2, Miami on top. So a double by Dietrich and a double by Echeverria. The Marlins felt they had enough depth in their bullpen this year that they could send Brad Hand down, expose him to waivers. They thought he would get picked up, and he was. Hand goes to first. Chen moves Echeverria to third, and the Marlins are set up here with Ichiro coming up and a chance to pick up another run.
But Chen does enough to get the base runner to third. Got his sac bunt down.
If you're just joining us, it's been quite a night for the Marlins and quite a night for Ichiro, who gets the start in place of Giancarlo Stanton. Don Mattingly before the ball game said they wanted to give Stanton a day just to settle down. With a lot of the things he's working on, he felt there was some progress in batting practices, but not in games.
I really think one of the worst things that happened to him, though, was DH in that game, because it really gave him too much time in between at-bats to think about just the at-bats. When you're scuffling like that, you're actually better off in the field, because now you're not focusing all your attention on that negative energy of being at the plate. You have to be aware. You have to be in the moment on defense.
Fastball up and in, and Ichiro backs out of the way. So that puts Ichiro in the starting lineup. And of course, Ichiro is not only chasing 3,000, but he's approaching Pete Rose's total hits mark. And so all he's done is walk and get 2 singles.
Well, I've seen players when they're chasing 3,000, and it's pretty much a limp to the finish line. That is not the case right now.
No, Ichiro just 24 hits away from 3,000. He's 2 away from Rose's 4,256. Pitch misses in. Ichiro's average now is at 347, so that's not limping.
By no means.
Well, the guy we just saw in Minnesota was like that. Paul Molitor ripped through 3,000 in his last 3 years as a Twin. Ichiro walks again. So at the corners now, and here's Prado again. He's had a productive night. Single, a 2-run homer, and a walk. And I think a couple of things have helped Ichiro this year get into this role, and that is the Marlins outfield has been relatively healthy compared to last year. So Ichiro hasn't had to play on an everyday basis or for a span of 2 or 3 weeks. The way Don Mattingly has used him, I think, has helped Ichiro. The other is he looks more selective this year than he was last year.
Well, he definitely seems to have a better grasp of his approach at the plate this year. Looks like he's worked really hard on calming things down a little bit. Ichiro's always been running out of the box, but last year there was a lot of movement. He wasn't able to keep his hands back as well as he is this year. This year, it's just a better look for him at the plate. Because even with all that movement that Ichiro had, he was always so good at keeping his hands back, and that's why he was able to spoil pitches. That's why he was able to foul off pitches, hit tough pitches, because his hands stayed back even though his body was drifting forward.
Echeverry at third, Ichiro's at first. The hand misses down low. Well, Ichiro certainly looks fresher than he did last year. The ball, as you pointed out, is coming off his bat with a lot more consistency, a lot more line drives. He's running better this year than he did last year. You know, Don Mattingly was asked at the start of the season, will Ichiro get as many at-bats in 2016 as he did in 2015? And Mattingly was very blunt. He said, I hope not, because that would mean that one of our 3 outfielders is injured. And he said, I don't know that I want to get him out there that much. It's off of Prado's foot, and that does not feel good at all. And quite honestly, having watched the way Mattingly has used Ichiro so far, it's been perfect.
Yeah, I think giving him that 1 or 2 starts a week. Oh, that's off the kneecap or shin. Wow. Yeah. That's direct contact from the bat, too, right in that area. I don't even know if he hit that pad that he's got there on the front. I think it may have gone above it.
But you got to think the exit speed off the bat of a ball like that is probably, what, 80 to 90 miles an hour?
Probably at least that, yeah. I mean, this is, it actually may have gotten a pad, but it's probably a bruise under there. Oh.
I think it's just right above the pad.
Above it. So now he shifted it up a little bit. It's like buying insurance after the house burns down.
Well, look, let's be honest. It hurts.
Oh, it hurts.
But it would hurt a lot more if he hit it again without the pad.
Yeah.
So he might as well cover it up now.
Yeah, those don't feel good.
And they don't go away.
No, that knot's going to be there for months.
1-2 pitch to Prado.
you're Brad Hand, you got to go right back in there. Because you know that's not feeling comfortable, that front side. And your front side's got to be a whole lot more firm when you hit the ball inside.
Little flare to right, and that falls for a hit. And so Prado can sort of limp down to first. Echeverria will score. Ichiro stops at second. And Miami has their second run of the inning and their 10th of the ball game.
Well, this has been some 1-2 punch for the Marlins tonight. All 4 at bats for both Ichiro and Prado they've reached safely.
Prado 3 hits, including a homer and a walk. Ichiro 2 singles, an RBI, and 2 walks. And here's Yelich, who was 1 for 3. Yelich to right, cracks it deep. Kemp looks up. Off the wall, Ichiro around third. He's going to score. Prado will pull up at third, and Yelich has an RBI double. And the Marlins are up big here now, 11-2.
And that score is a result of the Marlins being 7 for 13 with runners in scoring position tonight. That's just a breaking ball that stops in the middle of the plate, and Christian Yelich isn't going to miss too many of those. Short hops the wall. Scores run. Prado moves to third. Yelich cruises into second.
There's your double leaders. Yelich now with 19, and the Marlins are going to take Martin Prado out of the ballgame to get some treatment on that leg. Miguel Rojas comes in. That makes the folks at Pinch a Penny quite happy, because anytime we get anything in a pinch, Pinch a Penny's all over it. Now Ozuna. It's been a big night for everyone except Ozuna, and he swings and misses. Marcell is 0 for 3. He's flied out and struck out twice. I don't think Wei Chen minds sitting around and watching his team put another big number up
He's
on.
Absolutely fine. He's had enough of the games this year where he's pitched, only giving up 2 or 3 runs, and the Marlins offense wasn't able to get much going. It's a good night for him.
For those of you that are joining us from the NBA Finals, watching Cleveland beat Golden State in Oakland. Here it is 11-2 Miami. 11 runs on 13 hits. 2 more hits for Ichiro. 3 hits and a homer for Martin Prado. A 3-run triple and an RBI double for Adeiny Echeverria. And yes, that's Brad Hand wearing a Padres uniform and pitching for San Diego. Hand is in relief of Colin Ray, whom the Marlins knocked around and then eventually knocked out. So you've missed all of that, as well as an Ichiro imitator who's been delighting the fans here in San Diego. On a late night with the Fish, close to a 10-run lead, and if you follow Marlins baseball, you know that means the 10-run reel will be activated.
Oh, you got to send down the codes, Rich. Got to make sure you get the dual link activation to get that out of the vault.
That's already in play right now. The truck has been scrambling. Ozuna's walked. Bags are loaded. Here comes Bohr. Geico presents this Marlins moment. Brett Barbary hit the Marlins' first inside the park home run. Gave the Marlins a 1-0 lead in the 9th. They would lose 2-1 to the Cardinals in '95. Padres bullpen is scrambling. And here is Justin Bour. Brandon Maurer in San Diego's bullpen. So Bour against Hand. And these two squared off last inning, and Hand struck Bour out.
Well, he got ahead early, used that curveball to expand his zone, and then got Bour looking at a fastball late in the count, and that one almost gets him right there.
Fastball in. Now it's interesting to see the Padres infield here with the bags loaded and one out. The Padres infield is actually almost conventional. They had severe shifts on twice, and both times Bour got hits to left. Counts 1-1. Big man with a grand slam in Arizona and 2 hits here tonight. Now has driven in 31 and has 10 home runs. Fouls that one back.
Hey, Rich, I'm going to tell you something that's kind of unique here. Look at the players and see the shadows around the guys. You usually don't see that in a big league ballpark. Usually it seems brighter where you don't have the shadows casting there. But around everybody, there's like a starburst pattern of shadows around these players.
And I'll tell you why. The Padres are the first National League team to put all LED lights in their stadium this year. And the candle power for television for us is much better. These lights are brighter than the lights that were in here. The first American League team to do it, Seattle, up at Safeco Field.
Okay.
And so these LED lights, the first National League team to do it, much brighter. It's better for players to see the ball. It's better for fans to watch on television.
Okay.
So good observation, Press.
Well, I knew it looked unique. That was something that just jumped out. I'm not used to seeing that.
Bour, another hit. This one lined into left center field. And the Marlins are going to pick up another run, and Ozuna runs into third. Throw back to second, and he's out.
Running with your head down, not understanding what the situation of the game is. It's a 9-10 run lead. You're not going to just be sending runners to embarrass the other ball club. I mean, if it's a clear RBI, you should take it.
A lot of English on that as well. Yelich had to wait to see if that ball was going to get over the head of Ramirez.
Yeah, and it's your job to not overrun the guy ahead of you. No matter what, your responsibility is to not run out of a play if that guy doesn't go. So that's all on Ozuna.
So Bour has 3 hits, and they've all been to left field.
Yes.
Against a team that has radically shifted him to right. Realmuto.
Rich, I don't know how your scorecard's looking, but mine's a mess right now.
I'm going for the minimalist look on mine. Realmuto an 0 for 3. Realmuto without a hit. Realmuto and Ozuna, the only 2 regulars without not only a hit, but multiple hits, because everybody else has multiple hits.
I mean, if he gets a hit right here, my scorecard's done. It's shot.
Well, if he gets a hit, it's code red for the 10-run reel. Right now, I'm sure they're already getting ready to get the briefcase, much like the vice president or the president. They carry the briefcase with the codes in it.
Yeah.
We travel on Fox Sports Florida with that briefcase under lock and key. That's not something you leave laying around. You don't want it to fall into the hand of the Padre broadcasters.
No, they can't get their hand. That's sensitive information, Rich.
Diamondback television. You don't want that to happen. That's strike 3 called. The Marlins are done in the 5th, but they add on 4 more runs. Fish up big in San Diego. It's 12-2. In San Diego. Midnight back home, late night with the Fish from Petco. And a big Miami lead, 12-2. As Wei-Yin Chen goes back to work, Miguel Rojas is at third base. Remember, he came in from Martin Prado. Adam Rosales. Brad Handspot is due up next. Padres will probably run a pinch hitter out there. Rosales to left and deep and gone. I mean, way gone. And Wei-Yin Chen has given up 3 solo homers.
Tell you what, it's a good thing this one only counts as one, because this was a long one. Rosales got extended, got that ball right on the barrel and put it into the second deck up there. Way back in the second deck.
So a long home run for Rosales. Travis Jankowski will get the at-bat in Brad Handspot.
And as good as that home run felt to Rosales, that play at second base is still stinging him. It's still in his mind, because that opened up a big inning for the Marlins.
Jankowski fouls that one back. Jankowski got to the big leagues last year. An outfielder who started in all 3 outfield spots. Dietrich backhands, and Jankowski turns his ankle as he comes across the bag, and down he goes. You could see it as he stepped on the bag, sort of that rolling motion.
This is one of those basic things that they tell you when you're running the bases. Do not step on the corner of the bag. You want to step in the middle of the base where your foot can land squarely. You do not want to step on the backside of that bag because that can happen. And oh, that hurts. Because your full body weight is coming down on that.
He's going to get an infield hit, but obviously the Padres are going to have to run for him. You would think Andy Green would probably pinch run with a pitcher so that he doesn't have to burn a position player in this spot. And we'll see what he does. I don't want to see this again.
Yeah, that's off. That's not good. But it's one of those things that's avoidable. There's no reason for him to step on the back of the bag there. The bag's wide open for him. He just ran to the back of the base for some reason.
My guess is whoever is pinch running did not have their spikes on. Because in this spot in the order with Jankowski getting the pinch hit, you don't want to burn another position player. And look, the Padres were just involved in a game where they had as big a lead as the Marlins had and lost the game.
Yes.
What was it, 12-3 they were up?
Yes, 12-3 or 12-2, something like that. Yeah.
And then Seattle came back and won the ball game. And so let's see who it is that's actually going to pitch run. Luis Perdomo will run, and yeah, he didn't have his spikes on. Now he's got to tie his shoe as he gets out there. The last thing he was thinking was, I'm going to pinch run. Well, let's hope Jankowski is okay. John Jay now. Jay to left. Yelich is there and he makes the catch. So Chen gets his first out in the fifth. Wei-Yin Chen in Minnesota gave up 3 homers. And here in San Diego he's given up 3. The difference is the Marlins have scored 12 runs.
Well, most pitchers will tell you that solo home runs usually don't beat you. I still can't get over how Myers hit that home run his first time up and his back foot never turned. Just kind of collapsed on that ankle. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy get full rotation in the upper body and the lower body never quite turns over.
Preston is referencing the Myers homer in the first. We had a look at a side swing, and Myers' back foot didn't spin, didn't pivot. It just stayed parallel to the pitching rubber. Watch that back foot. And watch where it lands.
Just looks uncomfortable.
It's a strike. He does have that type of power, though, and that type of swing. He's got 14 home runs. That's a career high.
It almost looked like he was snowboarding with that footprint that he had there.
Jen lost him. And Myers walks. Well, Matt Kemp has been dangerous tonight. A one-hop double in left center back in the first, and a home run, a long home run in the third. Chen misses in. In that San Diego-Seattle game, San Diego had a 12-2 lead after 5 and lost the game 16-13. So I'm just saying. In a ballpark where you feel like a big lead is safe, but we've watched the Padres hit 3 solo homers.
Well, this ballpark definitely doesn't play the same way that it did when they first opened this ballpark. They've moved the fences in a few areas. There's lowered the fence down in that left field corner. It's a lot shorter now.
And locals will tell you that one factor might be all of the buildings that have gone on since the ballpark was built. You go up, see that Sempra Energy building? That's new. Some of the other buildings in the skyline are new.
The big scoreboard, the big feature screen they have up there, that's a lot bigger.
You're right.
And so that's blocking some of the air that may be blowing in off the ocean.
And they feel you're right. It's cut some of that ocean breeze that used to come in. Again to right center. That one's hit deep. Ichiro after it, and he got it. Running it down in the gap. Ichiro robs Kemp of extra bases.
Very nicely played. You see both outfielders here looking at each other, making sure they understand where they are, what their responsibilities are. Ozuna has the back lane here. See him taking a deep route. Ichiro's underneath. That is something that's communicated before the ball is hit. Hey, I got deep, you got in. Avoids collisions. Nice play by Ichiro.
Solarte now. Chen has struck him out twice. And he froze him on a good off-speed pitch. It was a 10-run Miami lead for about 10 minutes. The 10-run reel was activated. We'll see if maybe we can squeeze out a few features just on principle. For those of you that have stayed up late, it's a late night with the fish. Past midnight back home. And many of you kids probably saw the score. Many may have come over from the NBA Finals game and have been yearning for a little taste of the 10-run reel. We'll try to get that to you. Check swing on a breaking ball. Did he go? He did not. Nope. Good check. And it ends up as a stolen base by Perdomo. That's a bit of a mystery, but congratulations. That's his first stolen base of his career. It took him about 2 minutes to go find his cleats.
Yeah.
And now he swipes a bag in a 12-3 game. Solarte with the count 1-2. Chen's pitch count at 83. If the Marlins could get another inning out of him, they certainly would be happy. Bullpen is rather fresh, especially with the work yesterday by Dustin McGowan. Two and two. And he goes down for the third time. Late night with the fish continues from San Diego. 12-3 Miami. Something for the kids. The greatest golfers in the world and some of the coolest drones around will converge on the historic Oakmont Country Club for the 116th U.S. Open Championship. Live coverage begins Thursday, June 16th on FS1 and continues through Sunday, June 19th on Fox. You can watch the entire tournament live on Fox Sports Go. In San Diego tonight, big outpouring of offense for the Marlins. Brandon Maurer. And he comes the third pitcher. Colin Ray for 2 2/3 innings. Brad Hand for 2 1/3. Ray gave up 8 runs, 6 earned. Hand 4 runs, all earned. And here is Maurer. And he gets Derek Dietrich and Denny Echeverria. And then Wei-In Chen. Dietrich lifts one foul and out of play. Dietrich has singled, doubled, scored 2 runs. Echeverria has a 3-run triple and an RBI double. So Echeverria is a single and a homer away from the cycle. And the Marlins have never had a cycle. In fact, the Marlins are the only major league team not to have a cycle. The Padres did not have a cycle until last year when Matt Kemp finally did it. And he got his triple in his last at bat, did Kemp.
That's doing it the hard way, because a triple's the hardest one to come by.
The Padres remain the only team in baseball without a no-hitter. Marlins have had plenty of those. Poor Dietrich gets popped in the foot. That's look, we shouldn't laugh. But
it's like, you got to be kidding me, man.
He's been hit everywhere. I mean, even in the dugout in Atlanta, when he was hidden in the dugout, the ball found him, bouncing off the wall and then hitting him in the back of the head. And he's hit for the 10th time on a back foot breaking ball that lived up to its billing.
He is a magnet right now.
All right, here's Etch now. The triple was to straightaway center over the head of John Jay, and that was an enormous hit in the 7-run third. It came with the bases loaded. It scored everybody. And then an RBI double in the 5th. Echeverria swings and misses.
Good slider there. Started on the edge of the plate. Ended up as a ball. Great action on that pitch.
Edge to center. Boy, hit that one well. Right on the nose. It's a line drive out. And here comes Wei-Yin Chen looking for the first hit of his life. I shouldn't say that. Of his major league life. Although we should research to see if he had any hits in the minor leagues. Look out. Ooh. It's 0-1. Chen struck out, bounced out, and has a sacrifice.
This might not be a good matchup for Chen right here. I was feeling good about it until I saw that 95 roll out of the odd. I don't know if the odds are in his favor right here.
No, and if anyone's sitting above the first base dugout, they might want to pay attention.
Yes, put your devices down. You want to call and check your insurance because it's coming in hot over there.
Swing and a miss. Sharp slider. All right, kids. Some of you, I'm sure, are up late waiting for this. The exclusive loyalty program of the Marlins is the Fish Family Loyalty Program. And today's bonus code is hashtag ASGworthy. Hashtag ASGworthy. And we've had a few people suggest, hey, why not Ichiro on that All-Star team? Into center. And Ichiro is retired for the first time tonight. Marlins done in the 6th. 12-3, Miami. San Diego, bottom 6. Let's find Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich. San Diego will be the host of the 2016 All-Star Game. There are multiple Marlins who deserve consideration, from Martin Prado to Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, even Jose Fernandez. To cast your vote for this year's All-Stars, go to Marlins.com. Click on the All-Star tab. You can vote up to 35 times. You can vote 5 times in a 24-hour period. Voting will close on June 30th. Guys,
Jess, you are underneath the giant scoreboard. Is that where you are up there? Fastball foul back over the screen.
She may have gone out of range, Rich.
There she is.
Oh, there she is.
yep, I'm underneath the massive scoreboard right behind left center field. Guys, is it June? Because it's incredibly chilly out here tonight.
It is.
I'm just double checking.
You've got the appropriate wear though.
I do. I've got the jacket on because I'm cold.
Marine layer and all. If you get really cold, you can just climb up to Derek Norris's beard there.
Just nestle up in there for the last few innings.
It's right above your head.
There might be some wild game in there that you got to kick out, but make yourself at home.
Derek Norris, the hitter. Alexei Ramirez, Melvin Upton Jr. against Wei-Yin Chen. To left, Yelich reaches and makes the catch. Norris lines out. Marlins trying to get Chen through this. There's Yeli's mom enjoying the festivities tonight, as well she should. Alexei Ramirez now. If Chen were to have a 6 or a 7 pitch inning here, Marlins might be able to squeeze another inning out of it.
That'd be good.
That would be, because certainly with McGowan's efforts yesterday, a lot of the guys that needed a rest in the bullpen got it. It gives Don Mattingly certainly more options in the 7th or the 8th or the 9th, depending if he can get Chen through this inning and through the 7th. 0-2. I have a hard time saying Alexei Ramirez, or even seeing him without thinking of Hawk Harrelson, the way he used to always go, Alexei. Whenever Ramirez made a big play or hit a home run or did something on the field, Hawk would always burst out with the Alexei.
Alexei Ramirez is just a good guy to have on your team, because he enjoys being at the ballpark. There's nobody that enjoys being at the baseball field and on the field more than he does. And it's good because you get some young players who act like it's a chore to be in the big league sometimes. And you see him, it's good for him.
Back to Chen, on to first. Alexei Ramirez is 0 for 3. Here comes Melvin Upton Jr., who has doubled and flied out. All right, so I pulled up Wei-Yin Chen's minor league hitting and hitting over in Japan, because he did appear in some games down in the minors with Baltimore. Not many. No hits there. In Japan, happy to report 15 hits with Chunichi in his 5 years. Right ankle sprain for Travis Jankowski. And Chen misses up. So Chen actually had 15 hits in Japan.
15, you say?
15. An .084 average. .099 on base. And he slugged .096.
How's your slugging percentage lower than your own base percentage?
Well.
Oh.
Melvin Upton Jr. leaves the yard. Well, this is something. Wei-Yin Chen has given up 4 runs. All are solo homers.
That ball's just right down the middle.
And of course, Adam Rosales is swinging out of his shoes as he homered back in the 5th. So Melvin Upton Jr., Adam Rosales, Matt Kemp, and Will Myers have all hit home runs. Not many teams can say they've homered 4 times in a game and are down 8.
That's a good point.
So a career high. Chen has allowed now 15 homers on the season. But as you point out, when you got a big lead and they're solo homers, end of the bat, Yelich over and there, and he makes the catch. All right. Wei-Yin Chen gets through the 6th. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The 10-run reel headed to the truck under lock and key. For you kids that have stayed up and wanted some 10-run reel, all right, let's do it. Let's go back to San Diego. Long ago, Chris Volstad's on the mound, and the intern is bringing coffee to the cameraman. The problem is he disrupts the game, and the cameraman tells him to get out. What are you doing?
And then he took the coffee with him.
No, and then he went around to the other side. And that cameraman said,
beat it, dude.
So sometimes the intern's got to learn baseball protocol. You never go out on the batter's eye with a white shirt in the middle of the game. Miguel Rojas, first at bat. He came in for Martin Prado. Prado had a big night at the plate. 3 hits, 2-run homer, a couple singles, a walk, a run scored. But then in that 5th inning, he fouled the ball off his shin and came out. Rojas, a bouncer. Rosales gets the out. And so 1 out here in the 7th, and that brings up Christian Yelich. For those of you that are new to Marlins television, the 10-run reel was designed for those games that really got away from anybody. 10 runs up or 10 runs down. Some of the best funniest, oddest baseball moments in our video vault we would bring out to entertain the kids and keep everybody happy, and especially those of you with the Nielsen book. We want to entertain you, so you'll fill out that diary. So tonight the Marlins were up 10, but before that you saw that briefcase could be removed and loaded and the codes downloaded from Rupert Murdoch's private jet. The Padres went and hit a solo home run, and it was a 9-run game. So we wanted to give the kids that stayed up late with us just a little taste of the 10-run reel. We've got more coming as well. Preston, this is the first time you've had a chance to see it.
First time in the booth. I actually get to witness the 10-run reel from the booth alongside you, Rich.
I'm trying to think of other San Diego moments. There was in the old ballpark, in the Murph, there was the skunk.
Yeah.
That chased everybody out of the dugout. In this ballpark, there was the guy in the squirrel outfit that raced the fan, and he turned out to be a ringer. He was a track star in college, making a few extra bucks.
That's funny.
Yelich lines it foul. What else in this ballpark? I think that's it for San Diego. Christian Yelich, RBI double and a single, 2 for 4 night. 19 doubles now for Yelich. And he strikes out on a good curveball from Brandon Mauer. There he is.
Squirrel, take your mark. Get ready.
World's fastest squirrel.
And go.
Now he waits till this guy has a full head start. Look at the lead. Now watch this guy, Preston.
Is it just showing off? Wow, that squirrel can move. Look at him go.
Look at that squirrel
He's got
run.
no chance. There goes the squirrel, and he wins easily. Wow.
That's not right. That's not right, man.
No, it's not. Here's Ozuna. Bouncer up the middle. Alexei couldn't get it. It's in the center. And then John Jay has it. Now, he was the toast of the town for about a month because he beat a few other people until it was discovered he was actually a college track athlete. And when that was discovered, he was ruined, Preston. He had to turn in his fluffy tail. And
gone by the wayside like Milli Vanilli, Rich.
he had a great college job because there was money placed on it. The Padres actually brought him back and paid him a fee because he was so entertaining the first time. But then, you know, with retinal scans and face identification software now, Major League Baseball security is pretty sharp. And so in about a month's time, they identified that this guy was actually a scholarship track athlete. Moonlighting as a squirrel.
Oh, man.
Bohr takes a strike. All right, the story of Justin.
You can't make that up, Rich.
The story of Justin Bohr tonight is the Padres shifting. And the Padres are, as we've talked about, maybe the most aggressive and progressive defensive shifting team. And Mauer with a pitch down and in. 3 times Bohr has gone to left field for hits. One was a line drive over Ramirez's head. The other 2 absolutely beat the shift. And the odd thing was the Padres were pitching him on the outside part of the plate.
I don't understand that philosophy. If you're going to pitch him out there, you better make sure he can't hit it that way.
And he's out there, or excuse me, Derek Norris is out there for that fastball. The count is 2-2. So Bohr, as a result, is 3 for 4 with 2 runs driven in. And the count here now reaches 3-2 with 2 outs. So Ozuna finally got himself a hit. He'll be on the move. Let's see where they set up.
Away again.
And it's down low. Bohr walks.
Look like a changeup. A 3-2 changeup. in a 8-run ball game. Okay.
Now Real Muto, who's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, which is odd because Real Muto has been on a nice run. But anytime you have a slew of runs and hits, the Marlins have 12 runs on 15 hits. There always seems to be a guy that doesn't get to join in on any of the reindeer games, so to speak.
You know what, Rich? I had a few games like that where team would get like 15 hits and you're the only one that doesn't get one. And you know what? You're actually glad on those days because you know what? Like, even though I didn't do anything, we still won and won handily.
Real Muto over the middle into center field. He's got his hit, and the Marlins pick up another run. Their 13th of the night.
Marlins doing a good job tonight of finding a way to get base hits with men in scoring position. Nine-run ball game.
Derek Dietrich has singled, doubled, and was hit by a pitch, though it's not the normal Derek Dietrich hit by a pitch. It was actually his back foot on a ball he couldn't move out of the way on. Wei Chen is either lobbying for another inning or lobbying for another at bat. Dietrich takes a strike. Lots of base runners. Padre pitchers have walked 5 and hit a batter. And the Marlins have taken advantage. They're 9 of 16 with runners in scoring position.
Much welcome sign. The Marlins, one of the top teams in batting average, but are in the middle of the pack as far as runs scored. So they definitely need to have games like this where they're capitalizing, getting some base hits with men in scoring position.
Dietrich fouls it at the plate. It's a great point because, especially with no D. Gordon at the top of the order, the Marlins have a real hard time manufacturing runs with speed. They play in a ballpark which is a great pitcher's park, not a great home run park. The Marlins' home run totals are low. As you pointed out, you know, in terms of runs scored, it's not up there with their batting average. But tonight, as you look at the averages, Ichiro 2 hits, Prado 3 hits, Yelich 2 hits, 3 hits for Bohr, Dietrich 2 hits, Echeverria a triple and a double. And may I say that was Ken Burns-like with that last camera shot. Christian Roberts, our director, working hard. Marlins on the road. No surprise with Prado leading the free world in hitting on the road. Real Muto in the top 5 as well. Frank Menachino, assistant hitting coach, who does such a nice job. I'm sure he and Prado are discussing the science or the art of hitting. Dietrich, a prolonged at bat, fighting off pitches. 9th pitch in a 1-2 count. finally strikes out. Marlins pick up another run on a couple. Oh, the San Diego chicken on a 10-run reel kind of night. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, tonight here in San Diego, the Ichi imitator. And he had to get those batting gloves especially made so he could text and operate his smartphone.
Yes, they have stylus in the fingertips, Rich.
They do. You can get those now. Time now for the Just for Men mustache and beard. Play like a champ, Chris Davis. Player of the week in the American League. Homers in his last 5 games. The Major League record is 8 straight. Yep. Don Mattingly's on that list. Ken Griffey Jr. was able to witness that. That was something in '93. Mattingly did it in '87. Dale Long back in Pittsburgh in 1956. If you are scoring with us at home, Cole Gillespie is in center field. And Nick Wickren is on the mound. That was a great Keith Olbermann line from SportsCenter. If you're scoring with us at home, or if you're by yourself, 13-4. The Little Ninja's up. One of the great nicknames in baseball.
Yeah, it is.
For 5'6", Alexi Amarista.
He's a good little player, though.
Versatile guy. Plays everywhere. Can play all 3 outfield spots. Can play 3 infield spots. I don't know if he pitched. I mean, the Padres have had to use.
They use him in a short relief, Rich.
Did they? Oh, that's bad. That's not right. As a member of that club, that's not right, Preston Wilson. Why not long relief? Nick Wickren in a 13-4 Miami lead. And a good live fastball from Wickren. Nick's last outing. He struck out the side in Arizona. It was after a bumpy one in Minnesota. He had that 3-inning outing against the Pirates. Picked up his first Major League win. Still bottom 7 here in a game for Miami, which is top heavy with runs and hits. 16 hits to go with 13 runs. And the Marlins actually have left 9 on base, even though they've scored 13. Amarista leading off in the 7th. Wei Yin Chen goes 6 innings. A strike 3 called. All right, 10-run reel again. Thanks for staying up late with us, kids. There it is. This is the skunk game. This is at the Murph.
Well, if you were listening to the pregame show tonight, you heard Joe McElvain talking about the skunk that makes its home in the tarp here. And they never use the tarp. They had to use the tarp today. And I'm assuming that the skunk was uprooted today.
Nobody wants any part of him.
Oh, no.
He's coming and running around here, and you see all the fielders running away from him.
Hey, there he goes. Look out. Oh, there goes our camera guy.
We lost our camera guy, everybody. There are no more Marlins. They're gone.
That was a Padre Marlin game. The Senator Jay Randolph and the late great Gary Carter on the call. John Jay to center. Gillespie is there and he makes the catch. There goes. Watch the cameraman. Let's finish the video. Oh, that's him. Is that him?
Yeah, that's him.
Greg, was that you, Greg?
You wanted no part of that skunk, did you? I don't blame you.
We did not know, Greg, that was you, and we are honored to really celebrate the anniversary, though it's not the right date, but to celebrate the anniversary of you and the skunk. And is Jessica down there? Jess, can you ask him, are we able to interview a cameraman? Well, come on. Not everybody gets chased by a skunk in a big league game.
All right, let's get the story on this skunk. Come on.
No, there's really no story. He just came after me and I ran like a baby.
Rojas gets the out. Well, Greg, you have a large part of history with the Marlins and the Padres and a skunk. 13-4. Changes in the outfield. Alexi Amarista is in left. Hector Sanchez is behind home plate. And Matt Thornton is on the mound. The Padres bring in their third reliever. Thornton, who had a great run with the Chicago White Sox. And it looks like Melvin Upton Jr. actually went from left field out to center field. So Amarista is in left. Upton in center. And here is Echeverria, who blistered one to center his last time up, but it was caught by John Jay, who was out there then. Bouncer in the hole at short. Alexei makes the play. Back to the 10-run reel. When fan competitions go terribly wrong. The fryer. That's not right either.
It's hard to fight in skinny jeans, Rich.
These days, you're right. Okay. Here is Gillespie. Not as much drama in that one as the skunk.
No.
But I'm impressed that the 10-run reel has enough depth to pull out an all-Padre lineup tonight, or an almost said San Diego, an all-San Diego lineup, as it has tonight, right? I mean, that's...
This is late night with the fish come with an accent, Rich?
That, yeah, well, when translated, it means... Here's the pitch to Gillespie, and he fouls it back. Cole Gillespie getting it at bat against Matt Thornton. Thornton misses away.
Good swing right there from Gillespie. These are the at-bats that you have to fight your focus and make sure you don't give away an at-bat. The game is out of hand, but this at-bat could mean something later on in the season for you, so you don't ever want to give an at-bat away. And these are the times where you really have to focus.
And a base hit to center field. Good focus there. Toyota and the all-new RAV4 gives you an inside look. Now this is coming into today since 2010. The Marlins, you know, wait a minute. They've only played 19 times since 2010.
That can't be right.
Thank you for the clarification. That is here at Petco.
Okay.
So here's Ichiro. Check swing. Did he go? It's a swing. And Ichiro fans not happy. Hope you were with us early in the telecast for our Ichiro imitators. One as a Oryx Blue Wave, the other as a modern-day Marlin.
This guy takes no time off.
He doesn't. You know, one of the impressive things, Preston, this guy went to great lengths not only to get the uniform right, to get the sideburns right, to get the wristbands right, the batting gloves right.
Yeah. The elbow pad.
The elbow pad. Ichiro, base hit down the third base line. He's got 3 hits tonight.
Wear him out, Ichiro.
Unbelievable. 23 away from 3,000. He is 1 shy of Rose's mark. Unbelievable. He's 3 for 4, and on this road trip, he is 11 for 21.
In the pseudo Ichiro, it's actually showing him up right now. He's kind of stealing the show.
He's walked twice tonight as well. Here's Rojas. So he's 1 away from the Pete Rose total. His numbers in Japan combined with his numbers in Major League Baseball. And again, Ichiro doesn't champion this as being something he has aimed for. He has made it very plain that if people celebrate it and like it, that's fine by him. Out there on the turn, out there. Padres turn 2. Ichiro has another hit. And the Marlins are cruising tonight in San Diego. 13-4. Miami on top. MLB.TV Premium, #1 live streaming sports service available. You can watch every out-of-market game live, late night, in high definition on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, #1 app for live baseball. Blackout, other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Chris Johnson showing off some versatility. He's in left. And Brian Ellington is out of Miami's pen after 6 innings of Wei-Yin Chen and 1 inning of Nick Wickren. Chen, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them solo homers. A walk and 7 strikeouts. And here's Kemp, who's doubled, homered, and lined to deep right center. Ichiro made a very nice running catch. What's the headline to this game? If you were Preston Wilson, newspaper publisher, sports editor, what's your headline to this game? Is it Marlins? I mean, who's in your headline? Is it Ichiro? Is it Echeverria? Is it Prado? Is it the racing squirrel?
The answer is yes.
All of the above. All right, 10-run real time. Petco Park. That means there's dogs here, right?
Watch this thing go.
Snoop Dogg throwing out the first. Uh-oh, look out. Oh!
Yeah.
Someone better call their lawyer. That was from a week ago, so that's fresh. 10-run rule.
That was pretty bad toss, Snoop.
Not that bad. I mean, there's much worse.
I have seen worse, yes.
Brett Wallace gets the at-bat. Wallace, a former Houston Astro. Parts of 4 seasons with the Astros. A guy, when he came up in Oakland's organization, could always hit. The question was, could somebody find a place for him to play? Padres have had him out at third base. He's made 29 starts there and 6 across the diamond at first.
He looks like a big, strong young man.
Last year was his first year here, and he had a big year as a pinch hitter. He had 15 hits and 4 pinch hit home runs. So a budding Matt Stairs. At least I hope that that's the comp that comes up in Baseball Reference when you look up Brett Wallace's page. Ellington. Man, it comes out of his hand and it just blows up at 98 or 99.
It's an easy 98, 99. It looks almost effortless, but the ball explodes out of his hand.
3-2 coming. Chased it at 99.
This ball has just got so much life on it. It actually starts out right at the edge of the strike zone and just runs off. As a hitter, you got to protect, and when a guy throws that hard, it's hard to be as selective as you'd like to be.
Hector Sanchez fires it foul. We told you earlier that the Padres, the lone major league team, never to have a no-hitter. The oddity with Sanchez is that he's the second Padre catcher to have caught a no-hitter against the Padres and then played for the Padres. Randy Hundley did that long ago. That one fouled back. Hundley caught Milt Pappas no-hitter for the Cubs back in '72 and then was a Padre. Tim Lincecum was the guy who threw the no-hitter to Sanchez as a Giant against the Padres in '14.
Oh, 100. Triple digits.
Here's one other note on an odd night. Christian Bethancourt, who Marlin fans know as a former Braves catcher, now a Padre, who pitched earlier in a blowout game, was just down in the bullpen tossing it around. There's a possibility that he's going to pitch the ninth.
Rich, get ready for a treat because he doesn't really look like a pitcher, but he can get the ball up there mid-90s. There's a lot of consensus on that Padres team that if he had any kind of pitching mechanics, he could hit 100 quite often.
He's lacing him up, and it looks like he's coming in. Fernando Rodney is supervising with the tilted cap. He's getting laced up. Well, you know what? I've seen it happen before. Kenley Jansen was a catcher when he came up. I saw him catch in the World Baseball Classic for the Netherlands. He had an incredible arm. Chris Hatcher was a catcher for the Marlins, got to the big leagues as a catcher, went back down, came back up as a pitcher. So they can always smooth out and give him some mechanics. If he's got that arm, that might be something that the young man explores.
Jason Lane was an outfielder, came back as a pitcher. Guillermo Mota, longtime big league pitcher, was a shortstop on my minor league team in the Mets system and ended up being a pitcher. Got a lot of years in the big leagues.
And of course, Ichiro, as Sanchez walks, Ichiro was a terrific high school pitcher. Always begged his managers, both in Japan and in Major League Baseball, from Lou Piniella to Joe Girardi to everybody in between, that he wanted to pitch. Finally got his wish at the end of last year in that game against the Phillies.
Yeah, he gave up a run and got mad. He started breaking off a bunch of sliders on guys.
Yeah, he said on the postgame show he was surprised they hit his fastball the way they did. And it's like someone, I think in the background, reminded him, Ichi, you're 41. And he was asked afterwards if he wanted to do it again, and Ichiro said, no. I'm happy. I've had my moment in the sun. Alexei Ramirez takes down low. I think we have one more offering from the 10-run wheel. We're glad you're with us. I know it's not a 10-run difference, which is usually the standard, which triggers the code. Busted bat and an out there. That's what 99 on the hands will do for you. All right, I think Christian Bethencourt's coming. Oh, Preston! Oh, wow! Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Dodge, visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. By your South Florida Honda dealers. 13-4, Miami on top, 18 hits for the Marlins. Rich Waltz, Preston Wilson, Jessica Blaylock, and, ladies and gentlemen, Padres catcher Christian Bethencourt pitched at Seattle 2/3 of an inning. 26 pitches. He hit a batter. He walked 2. He didn't strike anyone out. Padres lost that game 16-4. And so here's Bethencourt trying to soak up an inning. Now, Preston Wilson, you of the pie in the face when we went to break.
Yeah.
What's it like to face a guy that's not a pitcher in a situation like this?
It's really a no-win situation because if you get a hit off of him, you're supposed to get a hit off of him because he's not a pitcher. And if you don't get a hit off of him, then a position player got you out. So you're really there's really no win.
Well, his teammates are well aware of that, and so they're on Chris Johnson, who stands in. And a changeup that misses in. These two guys teammates briefly in Atlanta. And so they know each other.
Yeah, that was a setup pitch right there.
Bethancourt having a hard time keeping a straight face. Of course, he works from the stretch. And Johnson knew fastball was coming.
That's 93. Just easy, though.
And I'm assuming everything's a four-seam.
The ball moves when he throws it, though. He's got a little run on it.
Johnson, a high fly ball, center field. Upton is there, and he makes the catch. Johnson and Bethancourt behind the mound. And Brian Ellington, so the Marlins are going to send a pitcher up to face a catcher.
You know why? Because nobody in that dugout wants this at bat. That's why.
This is his first major league at bat. And
it's pretty obvious because he's standing in the dugout right now. Look how far in the box he's standing.
You're right. He's nowhere near the plate, is he?
Good God.
He doesn't want much to do with this. Well, he may walk, though. I mean, it's 3-1.
He would be very hard-pressed to even touch a ball on the outer third of the plate.
Generous strike zone. I mean, I think his teammates just want to see him swing. Oh. Now he got one pitch to hit in that at bat. Let's take a look at Fox tracks on this. Oh, he got robbed.
He can't tell if that's a strike or not standing that far away from the plate anyway.
You know what, though? God bless Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire. It's 13-4. That may mess up his percentage and his score. But you got to move the game along.
See, I disagree with that, Rich. I know baseball people want to say, you know what, a strike should be a strike.
Yeah, but if the guy's not going to even stand in the box, if he's going to be half an acre away.
It's not his job to throw the ball.
All right, let's break down Bethancourt a little bit. From 94 to 68.
That's Roy Oswalt type stuff right there.
It is. 94 is nothing, like you said. There's no technique. I mean, he's just kind of easing it in there. 3-0. Now, you're not, there's no green light. You're up by 9.
I'm from a different school of thought, Rich. I don't care what the score is. If he has Justin Bour 0-2 right there, he's not just going to ease up and throw the ball right down the middle.
All right.
I don't believe that everybody's getting paid in the big leagues. There's no mercy.
All right. 3-1 coming. So he gets something to hit. It's up and it's out, and Bour walks.
Yeah, it's not my job to help you do your job. Not in the big leagues. I always marvel at pitchers who get upset when guys swing 3 on them. And I'm like, well, when I'm 0-2, are you just going to just automatically help me get back in the count? No, you're not going to. So shut up when you get 3-0 and I swing. Live with it.
All right. Here's Real Muto now, and he's got a bit of a smile. Pulls the ground ball into left field, base hit. Sigh of relief for Real Muto. Now here comes Dietrich. If you're just joining us, you must have had a great night out in Miami. Right? I mean, think about it. It's about 1:20. You're just, I don't want to say stumbling in, but arriving home. This is or maybe you're just on your way out too. That's possible. This is one of those games that maybe catch the replay tomorrow morning because a lot happened early. I mean, 3 hits by Ichiro, 2-run homer by Martin Prado. Echeverria triple-double, 4 RBIs. 3 hits for Bohr. 10-run reel. All kinds of stuff has happened. In fact, the Padres, who have just 4 runs, have hit 4 home runs. Go figure that. Counts 0-2. It's all fun and games for the Marlins, but you saw that look on first-year manager Andy Green's face. Dietrich into center, and that'll draw the ire of his teammates. Marlins done in the 9th. On top of San Diego, Petco Park, bottom 9. Earlier tonight, high-speed replay brought to you by AT. Watch the cover of the baseball.
Oh,
how about that?
Yeah, that's those cup bats. When you catch it just right, it rips the leather. I'm still in awe of how he swings and his upper body's in full torque and his lower body barely releases.
He hit the cover off the ball.
He did.
We appreciate all of you that have stayed up late with us tonight. We hope we've entertained you with the 10-run reel. There's a lot in this ball game that was entertaining as well. Not only all the hits, but the Ichiro impersonator tonight.
He bought his A game tonight.
He did. And I'm telling you, he's going to be back here tomorrow, though. What does he do if Ichiro's not in the lineup?
My question is, how does he know which uniform the team's going to wear?
Oh, you got to know he's got his own gear.
You think he's got like full gray on gray, black on gray?
Without question. He's just glad Ichiro's not a Diamondback.
Good Lord, he'd never get that bag in the stadium.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it going on. We'll probably see him at Starbucks in the morning.
There's a lot of work that goes into being that prepared. Because he's got to wait and figure out what the team's wearing. Go suit that up. Make sure he's got on matching undergarments. There's the sleeves and all that.
Struck him out. Mike Dunn strikes out Melvin Upton Jr., who says, hey, you, umpire. Jeff Nelson. That is a strike. Plenty of the plate right at the knees. Maybe he was asking Jeff Nelson, what's Jessica Blaylock up to?
Hey, Rich, well, something cool coming up tomorrow since we are in San Diego. It's such a big naval town. The Padres call themselves the team of the military. Mike Dunn, Justin Bohr, and myself are going to go and tour the USS Midway. Now, the Midway was decommissioned in '92.
Go ahead. That's all right.
As Ichiro makes the catch. It was decommissioned in 1992. It now finds its permanent home here in San Diego. So yeah, we're going to get a special tour of that, and that is going to be featured on our Marlins Live pregame show tomorrow.
That is very cool, and for both those guys, Jess, for Justin Bohr and for Mike Dunn, the military in public service, very near and dear to their hearts. Alexi Amarista. Line drive, caught there. Ball game. Miami wins it. What a wild night in San Diego. Danny Echeverria, big night. For Don Mattingly and the Fish, a nice win to get. This was a Wei-In Chen start. 4 solo homers, no worries, because his ball club scored 13 runs. 19 hits. Stay tuned. Jessica Blaylock gets the game recap on this one on Marlins Live.